2. The bases loaded and 1 out. Oh, sends it deep to right field. Way up there and way out of here. Second deck walk-off home run. Grand slam, Braves homer.
Stays right where Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline. Fade away. Yes! He's way too good. He steps around Lou and drilled it. And the Sixers have scored 9 in a row. 7 straight points by Iverson. Looked like he was down the line. The Sixers by 4.
And welcome to the Sports Skill Radio Show presented by the Heat Ratio Sports Network on this June 6, 2021. I am Jeff Soner, and I am joined by Michael Nibia, the coach Shane McGowan, Alex Secchia, my brother Jay, obviously. We just remind everybody to check out Shane's website, mentaledgeperformance.ca. And don't miss Shane's articles in USA Today High School Sports and Train Magazine. And always give him a follow on Twitter and Instagram. We have a lot to get to today. Just a reminder, everybody, also to check out sportskillradio.com for all our podcasts on Spotify. And if you want to leave your rants or anything else, go to anchor.fm for that. And we have links on our website for that. And don't forget to check out all our sports blogs as well while you're there on sportsgaradio.com. We have a lot to get to on the show today. We have all the NBA action, NHL playoffs. Mayweather versus Logan Paul is coming up tonight. Major League Baseball Roundtable. We, of course, want to send our prayers, obviously, to our dad, Jerry Soner, who is battling another infection in the hospital. So please keep our dad in your prayers as he continues to battle these infections. Hopefully he can return home sooner rather than later, and he can suppress these infections yet again. I think, guys, we'll start off with the NBA playoffs, and the big thing about the Sixers right now, it's not the fact that they have game 1 today against the Hawks. It is the status of Joel Embiid, and I'll throw that out to the coach, Shane McGowan. First and foremost, Shane, this is going to be a big story as we go through this series because we still don't know the status of Embiid here for game 1. So it looks like the Sixers are going to keep a shadow on Embiid's status as we go forward here.
Yeah, it's not a good one, that's for sure right now. You know, with the a meniscus tear is something that's very hard for pivoting, right? So, and that's the first thing you're doing out there is so much as pivoting and moving around like that side-to-side movements. If he's got a tear, as they say, a small tear in it, that's going to just be nothing but constant pain. And again, he's a big man. That's a lot of weight put onto that knee. So his ability to do certain things that he's used to, I got a feeling that's going to play upstairs here where he's not going to be able to focus as much as he wants. He's going to be in some pain. And they're going to, and if he is out there, they're going to keep picking at him. And so now you got to look at the other side of it and say, okay, so we bench him and we start putting in Howard. We start making sure Simmons and everyone else, Harris can step up, Seth Curry. Is that the role that they're going to go? That's the biggest question right now. Because like I said, you've only got one option. I mean, you either bench him or you're playing him. And if you're playing him, you're not going to get a lot of production, I don't think. And if you bench him, you already got to start preparing for the long haul of this. Because like I said, whether he plays a few minutes, I still don't think he's going to be as productive compared to him needing to get this rest. Now, I'm not saying that you can't play. I'm just saying, can he play with that much discomfort that's going to be coming?
Yeah, and the factor that we all have to consider right now is, do the Sixers feel confident that they can beat the Hawks without Joel Embiid in the lineup? I think you're facing a Hawks team, obviously, that went through the Knicks like a buzzsaw and in 5 games. So you're facing a very hot team. You're coming into the second round of the playoffs. And you're being down the big man is obviously going to leave quite a big hole in the middle there, and it's going to provide some opportunities, obviously, for the Hawks to take advantage of as they move through this series, Alex.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I was talking about this yesterday because one of the things that I feel like is really underrated, and I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, but I asked my neighbor, who's actually a good buddy of Doc Rivers, because Doc Rivers is his cleaning client for his cleaning company, and we're talking about weapons or things to look out for with the Hawks, and it's certain key players like Damian Lillard and stuff like that, guys who can really launch off. And I feel like guys like him aren't really being talked about in a way that like Giannis would be or Joel Embiid's injury is and stuff like that. But I feel if he sets off and gets really loose, it's a problem. Or even Trae Young, but I'm worried more for Damian Lillard.
Yeah, Trae Young bothers me a little bit, looking at how he played against the Knicks. But at the same time, the Sixers to me don't really have, much of an answer. I mean, beyond, Superman, behind Howard. I mean, they don't really have a guy to play, the five. I mean, they just, they don't have a real answer there.
They're not deep at the five.
Right, they're not deep at that point because,
they used to be, but they're not now.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, that's really the question I was going to throw to you is, if you look behind, what they have behind Embiid and who they would throw there at the five, it's not pretty what they throw out there at this point.
No, it's not. And you think back to a few years ago when they had Jahlil Okafor as a backup to Embiid when they were going for that big man approach. If they still had Okafor, they'd be fine. But now that they don't have him, I don't know what the Sixers are going to do at this point. And to build off of what Shane was saying, a meniscus tear is not something you come back from easily. It's like an ACL or an MCL. That takes months of rehab.
I never expected Embiid to come back for this playoffs with a meniscus tear. You need to contain Trae Young. He's our only weapon. I just realized I was saying Damian Lillard. I don't know why I was thinking about it. I guess I got the Trailblazers.
You're thinking about free agency, weren't you?
I think I just got the Trailblazers and the Hawks uniform mixed up. I don't know why.
They're the same colors, man.
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one called me out on it. I just realized it. But they need to contain.
I should have called you out, but I didn't.
You should have.
Yes.
But they need to contain Trae Young. He's the biggest threat.
They need to contain Trae Young.
You're not going to have
and without
Embiid.
Embiid, they can't contain Trae Young. So
You're not going to have
Embiid. May be
Embiid.
screwed.
You want this Bucks.
Embiid.
You want the Bucks. You want the Bucks and Brooklyn to go to Game 7. You want them to be highly driven, highly competitive. Because if the Sixers beat the Hawks, which is possible, we want the winner of the Bucks and Brooklyn Nets to be as worn out as possible from going into a hard game. You don't want to even think. I don't like the fact that everyone's like thinking and questioning if Embiid's come back. This dude's not coming back. If he comes back, he'll destroy his knee and never be able to play again. It's rushing him back. Don't rush him back for a playoff
Yeah,
game.
don't rush him back.
Embiid
will see you in October.
It's up to the veterans like Dwight Howard to come back to. No, I'm not even saying dominate. I'm not saying dominate. I'm looking for Tobias Harris to dominate. I'm looking for Ben Simmons to make shots, not miss 4 foul shots like he did. I'm not looking for that. This guy needs to sink the baskets. This team needs to play like they don't need Embiid for this playoffs. Because if I'm any Sixers fans, I talk about
going to try and smack a Simmons.
Don't expect Embiid to come back even for the finals.
Here's the issue. I'll throw this to Jay as a Sixers fan. You look at this and you say to yourself, okay, we might make it through this series against the Hawks without Joel Embiid. But then, if you look at that next series, you are not beating either one of these next two teams, whether it be Milwaukee or Brooklyn without Joel Embiid in the lineup. I mean, it's just that
Well,
simple. I can't see that happening, Jay. So with that as the case, I mean, this injury has to get Sixer fans night sweats at this point.
Well, you look at Joel Embiid, and here's the thing. With Joel Embiid's injury, he's not – for the rest of the season, however long the Sixers playoff run is, whether they get to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals,
they're not getting into the NBA
second round. Joel Embiid is going to be playing hurt because the only thing that will fix this little meniscus tear is rest and possibly a small operation. That's the gist of it. So throughout the rest of the Sixers season, Joel Embiid is going to be playing hurt. Number two is, as far as the Sixers defense goes, they're one of the highest rated defensive teams in the NBA, have been all season. That's Ben Simmons' forte, is playing defense, not sinking the jumper, not taking threes. We can forget about that. That's not Ben Simmons' game. What Ben Simmons' game is going into the paint, seeing the plays develop, getting guys the ball, getting the assists, and we saw it in the last round that the Sixers played. They tried playing Hackabend and getting Ben to the foul line. And how did that work for them? Well, they started playing Hackabend in the second quarter, and that didn't work so well because all of a sudden Ben Simmons started sinking the free throws and didn't make all of them. I'm not going to say that he was 100%, but he started sinking enough of them to where they had to back off and not play Hackabend anymore. So that's one of the things that Ben's been working on is his free throw shooting. So playing Hackabend may not work so well for the Hawks in this round. So, and also the Sixers are playing with Joel Embiid out, if that's going to be the case for Game 1, which I would guess it probably will be. He may do something pre-game, shoot around, that type of thing, to kind of add intrigue to it. But honestly, I would not play Joel Embiid until the Sixers lose a game. And then once the Sixers, because the first two games are going to be played in Philadelphia on the Sixers home court where they have a tremendous record. So if the Sixers.
And where they have the crowd on their side, the crowd of like 19,000.
Oh, yeah. So
if you have the crowd on your side, you're not going to need Embiid.
Well, no, you will need Embiid.
You know what? I think that's a lot of production. You're discounting a lot of production. I think you're looking at the production. You're looking at a guy who is an MVP candidate here that you're taking out of your lineup, and the depth you have behind Embiid to be in the middle there and to play the 5 is just not there when you look at Howard, or if you're shifting Ben Simmons over to the 5. That presents its own issues as well.
Simmons can't play defense.
Well, that's true.
What are you? Simmons can't. Mike, he was going to be he's up for Defensive Player of the Year. You got to be out of your freaking mind. Simmons is one of the best defensive players in the NBA.
You're hopping in and out. You're hopping in and out, Jay.
Mike, I was saying that. Ben Simmons is up for Defensive Player of the Year. So that comment that Ben Simmons can't play defense is ludicrous.
In and out again.
Ben Simmons is a defensive player, Mike. That's what Ben Simmons does. That's his forte.
Right, but the problem, Jay, is the fact that on offense you're missing a whole lot of production here out of Joel Embiid, and that's going to be the issue going through this series. Against the Hawks is trying to
trying to plug the Hawks behind.
Yeah, well, like I said, you're not going to get. You're not going to get 100% Ben. You're not going to get 100% Joel Embiid. He's not going to be 100% for the rest of the Sixers season. That's what I said. But can they get 90, 85, 80% Joel Embiid? Possibly. That's a possibility. Will his minutes be limited? Probably. That's what I would think. But, it'll be a question of limiting his minutes and seeing how much his pain tolerance is going to be.
I see this as being an Anthony Davis type situation here, where, you're throwing the guy out there, but he really doesn't have any effectiveness, in terms of being up to his usual standards. And we saw what that did to the Lakers when you took out Davis from that lineup. It wasn't the same for LeBron James, obviously. LeBron James obviously couldn't do it all himself. And, the Lakers obviously lost in 6 games. But, losing Anthony Davis was a big factor in that series. I mean, there's no question about it there, Shane.
Shane?
Yeah, you know what? Said, yep, I'm here. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. All right. When you talk about Embiid being out first, I'll touch on that. You're losing 28, possibly 33 points, okay, that have to be distributed amongst the other guys coming off the bench and Harris and Simmons. That's a lot you got to make up because that's what the guy's averaging. When you look at the Hawks, who basically are going in with their big guys, are able to make up that without a problem. Collins, all right, there you go. You got Capella, who's going to play even bigger minutes because of this too. That's huge. So like I said, with Embiid out, you guys got to really pick up. That means Harris has to pick up his slack. You got to get Max. You got to all these guys to get hot hands and Seth. And I got a feeling that they may try to go little and try to be extra quick out there to see if they can keep the Hawks off balance with their big guys. That's my point on that one. When it comes to the out West with LeBron, you know what? When you can't play with everybody in the lineup who's healthy and everything like this, and I think they bet too much on Schroeder myself. I think they put too much stock in trying to get him as their big point guard. And let me finish up here, Mike. Hold on. All right. Now, putting like Schroeder out there, okay, you're going to be in trouble because the man is predictable, and this is why he's not signing an extension either. Okay, so there's a lot of things happening there in LA, and a nice little rumor that I'm hearing coming out of Portland. So, Alex, we'll get this one going, is that Dame or CJ will be on the move. Okay? One of those guys is going to be on the move. And Lakers are trying to make a pitch for to get one of them already. That's how fast that things are rolling and moving. So I would love to see a guy like Dame playing with LeBron out there because they need that type of a guard. They need that type of a person who can play as much as he can possibly. They're talking about trying to keep that whole court together in LA with the Lakers. It isn't going to happen. I got a feeling you're going to see Kuzma gone, and you're probably going to see Schroeder on the move as well, which is going to free up salary cap. And you're going to see some other trades and things happening pretty quick out there because LA is where you got to make or break. It's simple. Yeah, you won last year. You lost this year. You got to go back and make sure you win next year. That's just how these guys operate out there. So like I said, it's going to be interesting with them. Because I also don't see the Clippers making it past Denver today either.
It's Dallas, not Denver.
Alex?
What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, well, I agree with you, Coach. I absolutely do. It's going to be interesting to see how the Lakers respond to this loss. Obviously, watching the LeBron press conference after the game, I think he was kind of mentally, exhausted from the fact that, it's kind of like, going from the bubble all the way through this season. I think he's kind of looking forward, obviously, to getting his ankle healthy, to just, getting right and, trying to have that full off season, getting back to it in October. With a full regular season and a normal off season. So, obviously you want to win, and obviously this breaks the quote unquote LeBron streak of making the finals when he's playing the playoffs. As that was brought up in his press conference, how do you feel? Well, he was kind of thinking, well, I really didn't even, it's kind of like, well, what record, what, but that's just LeBron. That's just LeBron. I mean, and it was. I mean, it was an amazing streak to make that many NBA Finals in a row, and to have that kind of streak going. But I think in his mind right now, and I'll throw this back at Shane from a mental standpoint. I just think that LeBron is, for this season right now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, obviously, for the Lakers, obviously, and for LeBron himself, to get out of here, in early June, not have to go through the month of June, obviously, in the playoffs, and to have more of an off season, to get his ankle right, to get AD healthy, and so forth. I mean, that to LeBron's the biggest issue with the Lakers, is making sure that the big guy is healthy going into next season.
You're absolutely correct. There's no question you need to get these guys back on track, healthy, and everything like that. And you're right. The exiting from this, it's a bit of a look at it. LeBron's 36 years old. He's made the playoffs 10 years in a row, everything like this. Okay, no problem. You're not going in by yourself. You had to go in with a healthy team, and you didn't have that. But I think that it also helps LeBron look at this team, right, and say, what is it that we're missing? And so that's why I go throw it at Alex and think, look, if you got an opportunity, Alex, as the Lakers, to get rid of some and keep some, who do you think you would want to get and what type of position? Because as you can see, right, Kuzma was not productive. Pope was hurt all the time as well. You know what I mean? Tucker was a no-show. Caruso, 5 minutes and gets a couple of dunks, and then he's done. So there's a lot of things you got to work on. But the Lakers can, I think, get something for them. But what can they get back, do you think, would help that team move forward?
I mean, I like what you said earlier about Damian Lillard, right? You give LeBron Damian Lillard, that team's winning the finals next season. They're not stopping that team. Who's stopping that team? I would definitely get rid of Kyle Kuzma. I thought this guy was a dud throughout the playoffs. He was like what?
Kuzma's a bum.
He was a bum. I would get rid of him. I'd get rid of Dennis Schroeder, free up some cap space. If you brought in a guy like Damian Lillard, here's my thing. The Lakers, LeBron's not going to be playing forever. He wants to get a couple more, right? Get Damian Lillard. Get a guy who is prominent, who's dominant in a position you need. Free up the cap space you need. Free up some players. Yeah, I'm basically saying mortgage it, essentially, because Kuzma's young and stuff. But that's what you're playing for. You're playing for a ring. LeBron's not going to be there forever. He's going to be out in a few years. Mortgage it for sure. Find a guy who's prominent. You give LeBron one more A-lister, you're not stopping that team.
If the Lakers get Damian Lillard, about the only team that could have a chance at stopping them is Brooklyn.
But that's if Brooklyn stays healthy and all that stuff. And then
maybe Philadelphia.
Okay.
Because they've got a young and talented team. They can do some damage in the East. Brooklyn can do some damage in the East. But any team in the West,
player.
No chance.
I thought you said Embiid wasn't a good defensive player. How are they going to stop him?
Philly's got to get healthy. And they've got to get one big ticket free agent. Embiid needs to get healthy first and foremost.
I don't think Jay likes that one, Jay?
No.
No.
I like to get on Jay's goat.
I mean, they got Simmons and Embiid, and Mike's saying they should
on your goat, man.
And Mike's saying they should spend more money, but
I just like to get on your goat, man.
I know. I just don't see.
It's for the comedy. It's for the comedy.
I think this is going to be the playoffs where Ben Simmons kind of shows, has the opportunity, I should say, to kind of stand out a little bit. Because with Embiid being hurt, playing hurt probably, Ben Simmons can leap to the forefront. And Ben Simmons is kind of one of those guys that, the fan base kind of goes back and forth with. Like he'll have a game like he did the last game where he looks really good, gets his assists, gets some free throws, gets some baskets, and so forth. And the Philly fans love him. And then and is that kind of dominant kind of player, and then he also has some games where he doesn't get the assists, where he kind of coasts a little bit, and then the fan base kind of goes back, and it's like, we need more out of you. We need you to take the jumpers.
Philly fans are fickle.
So but this is the playoff series now, going into the second round, possibly going into the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals, where Ben Simmons has the ability to kind of stand out. And you guys are right. When Ben Simmons is in the game without Embiid in there, he's it looks like Doc is going to play him at center, and the Sixers game is going to speed up a little bit. They're not going to be playing the big man's game. They're going to be, spacing the floor out a little bit, doing a lot of transition type games, playing the speed game, that type of thing with Ben Simmons kind of leading the charge with, Maxey in there and Seth Curry and so forth, Thibault getting his baskets and playing good defense, and that's where they need, because Seth Curry isn't going to be able to, you can't count on Curry getting, 30 points a game. That's not going to happen every game going forward in the playoffs. So, they got to kind of spread out the score a little bit, and the bench has to kind of step up, and they kind of, got to spread it around, and, and that's where they really have to lean on Ben Simmons quite a bit going forward. But as far as, the Lakers go, I think LeBron knows exactly where he's at physically and mentally. I mean, you saw him pretty much all season. Everything the NBA, from the start of the season, he was kind of pushing back against everything kind of the NBA did, with the start of the season, because he didn't get, one of the things last season was the NBA played in the bubble. He got a lot of time to rest and recover and so forth. And this season started real quick. He didn't have the recovery time. You saw that he had to play in the All-Star game and so forth. So there wasn't a lot of time for him to rest any nagging injuries. He was pushed, and and he's not a young guy anymore. So any of the injuries that he accrued, nicks and everything like that, he didn't have a lot of recovery time, and being one of the star, if not the star of the Lakers, he kind of pushed back against a lot of stuff because he knows his body obviously better than everybody else, and he needed that recovery time. He needed that time off, and he didn't get it this season. So I think that, and I think he also wanted to kind of pass the torch a little bit with the Lakers, off to AD, and AD got nicked up and hurt and missed time as well, so he wasn't really able to do that. So that caught up with the Lakers. And what's interesting about this playoff season is that you look at the remaining teams in there, both in the East and the West, and one thing that we don't see this year going forward, starting here in the second round, is there's no LeBron James and there's no Steph Curry. There's no Golden State Warriors, So that kind of opens it up for all these other teams to kind of stake their claim to becoming NBA champions. Because for the past, decade plus, you had either LeBron James or you had Steph Curry going to the NBA Finals, and now neither one is going to be there. So, that's really, for these teams that are still in it and their fan bases, that's really cool, I think, and adds to the intrigue about this year's playoffs.
We could see Kevin Durant have another chance. We could see Harden with his first chance. Kyrie get another chance. Could see Ben Simmons get his first chance. Who knows? We could be seeing
Michael, one thing you're not going to see, at least for the near future, is James Harden, and we can get into that because he went down in Game 1 with a apparent hamstring injury. So the Nets don't feel any sorry for the Sixers' woes or Joel Embiid now losing Harden. So now the big three is down to 2. The Nets did beat the Bucks. For what it's worth, with 2 of them, with the big 2 as it's now as they now have, but certainly it is going to be a concern for the Nets going forward, having to play without James Harden, depending upon how severe this hamstring injury goes. But as we know from hamstring injuries, Shane, this could be very concerning for the Nets going forward.
Yep. You know what? There's no question. And it's the same one, too. He aggravated it right off the hop like that, 17 seconds in. And like I said, it's one of those nagging injuries. You can play through it depending on the degree of it. He was able to move a little bit, try to shake it out, but he felt it. He felt the twitch like that. So, I mean, now they're going to look at it, evaluate it. Whether he plays, maybe not the next game here. All right. That's what some will find out. He might just need an extra little bit of treatment and things like this. But I don't think you're going to get, just like everyone else, you're not going to get 100% James Harden out there. So now you got to say, okay, Irving and Durant and Harris, you guys are the guys that got to step up here. You know, Blake Griffin, my gosh, that guy had a team too himself. I mean, that was pretty
that was retro
interesting
Blake
watching
Griffin.
him, except he was getting himself beaten up though by Lopez though a little bit too much. So able to take the threes was good for Griffin, but he's got to work on his defense against a big man like Lopez because, like I said, he manhandled him out there too in many ways. You know what I mean? But like I said, that's going to be a tough series going through if you're the Bucks and the Nets like that. So, you know, it's funny though. I was more curious why the Knicks got swept as bad as they did by Atlanta. You know what I mean? You and I both, Jeff, thought the Knicks are a strong defensive team. What happened with them and everything like this. And you just saw exactly, it was almost like because they got to the finals, they were just deflated right after. You know, Randall couldn't do it, anything out there. It was just one of those things where it's almost like that was it. We were out of gas. We ran out of gas. We gave everything we had in those first games, and that was it. And Atlanta is going to be a team to be reckoned with in many ways because of that too. I mean, you got a hot Trae Young. You got Collins, you got Capella, and Capella's going to have a heyday if he's got no beat against them, right? I mean, so when you take back that Knicks game, who was tough. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, about the Knicks, you know, as disappointing as the series was, I mean, they need shooters. I mean, they need more on off. When you look at that lineup and you try and look at that as a playoff lineup, it just doesn't equate to players. They were overachievers during the regular season, and they just didn't raise to that level during the playoffs, during the series with the Hawks. And the Hawks were, you know, good. I mean, they were the 5th seed in the playoffs for a reason. I mean, they played, you know, very well, and they played a lot better than the Knicks did in the series, you know, game to game, and they just blew out the Knicks. And you know, I mean, the Knicks got one win in the series, but otherwise it was like the Knicks didn't really even compete at all, you know, in the series, which is very disappointing, obviously, for all the Knicks fans out there to have to deal with that, you know, with the disappointment, obviously, of the Knicks. But they need shooters. I mean, they need some guys who can come in and you know, and put some points on the board for that team. As good a defense as they may play, you know, Thibodeau just couldn't really, you know, find a lineup that could contain the offense, you know, of the Atlanta Hawks. So I think this is going to be, and I think that's why, you know, I always look at the series from a standpoint of, well, how many games do I think the underdog can win? And obviously a lot on this Sixer-Hawks series depends upon Joel Embiid and what he gives the Sixers, what he can go out there and do, and how effective he can be, and you know what kind of production he can give during the series. So use that as a big wild card going into this series. But, do I think the Hawks can win 2 games in this series? Absolutely, I think that will put them, in a game 7. I mean, that will put the Sixers into a game 6. And once you're in a game 6, sure, you can force a game 7. So, do I think this can be a long series? Yeah, I think this can be a long series, depending upon, of course, the status of Joel Embiid as being the main wild card going in. But if Joel Embiid is, a non-factor in this series, yeah, I think the Sixers are going to, this is going to be a series that the Sixers are going to have to trudge through a little bit. They'll probably win. They'll probably beat the Atlanta Hawks. But, it could be very well a 6 or a 7 game series to try and get past them, to try and get to either the Nets or the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Alex, your thoughts?
What's Alex's thoughts?
Listen. Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Do we really think the Sixers are making the finals?
Not without Joel Embiid.
You would love to put. I feel like you'd love to put hope in the team, but like you said, Jeff, without Joel Embiid, it's not happening. And when I said earlier, he's not playing. He will not play. I don't think he should play all this playoffs. I don't care how he feels. I don't care. Remember when RG3 hurt himself in the wild card game against the Seattle Seahawks with a snap? He fumbled the snap and he tore his ACL on that snap. And then he decided he wanted to come back, and Shanahan was like, "We'll let you come back." And he kept getting hurt because they listened to the player and no one else. Don't listen to the player. Don't risk Embiid. Keep him out. He tore meniscus. He's not going to come back and be 100%. You need 100% Embiid to win against either the Bucks or the Brooklyn Nets. Not to win, to stand a chance. Correction, to stand a chance. So if he's not going to be anything short of 100%, why risk it?
I agree. I think that the Sixers should make, a determination, but I think that Sixers are going to drag this injury out. I think that's, how they're going to play this thing. I think they're going to always call them day to day at this point.
Well,
they're not going to allow, for strategy purposes, they're not going to allow the Hawks to know the exact stats of Joel Embiid. They're always going to have that out there as like the carrot out there in this series, that Joel Embiid could come back, pull a Willis Reed or something like that in this series, and be, and always be in the back of the mind of the Atlanta Hawks that he could possibly play, in this series. So I think from a strategy standpoint, the Sixers are pulling a Joe Girardi, in this point.
You have to.
I think that's what the Sixers are doing here with this particular injury, is they're kind of playing a Joe Girardi, and they're going to leave Joel Embiid, even if they know that he is basically out for the series, or they feel that he's going to be out for the series. They're not going to allow the Atlanta Hawks to know that he's officially out. They're going to allow the Hawks to believe that he might be available to play. That's just, my opinion right there. I wonder Jay's opinion on that.
No, I agree with you. I think they're going to keep Joel Embiid day to day, and they're going to trust the medical staff as to whether or not he can play. They're going to ask him how he's feeling and so forth, and depending on how he's feeling, what he does pregame and so forth, and where the series is at. Because I do think the Sixers are looking at getting to at least the conference finals this season. The door is wide open for them to do it, and I think that's the bar that has been set by everything. Daryl Morey, by bringing in Daryl Morey, by bringing in Doc, by revamping the bench. I think that's the bar that they set for themselves this past all season, is getting out of the second round, which they've gotten to the second round the past couple of seasons, and or what have you. And they bowed out. The second round has been a bugaboo. Getting out of the second round has been a bugaboo for them. So they set their goal on getting to the conference finals. You no longer have to go through LeBron James in the East. He's not an obstacle. You don't have Toronto to go through. With the quadruple doink, or triple doink or whatever.
No, but you got the Nets and the Bucks.
What?
No, but you got the Nets and the Bucks.
True.
You got
the
big freak.
I will give you that. You got the big three, in Brooklyn, or the big two now, depending on Harden's status and how he heals up. So the door is wide open for the Sixers to get to at least the conference finals this season. And that's the bar they kind of set for themselves. So, they're not going to, and they know they're not. Embiid's not going to be, and we know this. Joel Embiid is not going to be 100% until next season. That's just the finality. That's just the reality of it. So they're going to have to get by with whatever percent of Joel Embiid they can get out of him, and I think they're going to look at the way he's healing and how he feels and the status of the series. If the Sixers are tied 1-1, then maybe they don't activate him and they keep him out until they fall behind in the series, and they need him to get some minutes to kind of even out the series or to go ahead. And otherwise than that, they're going to be leaning really hard on Ben Simmons and the bench to get them through to get them through the Hawks and to get them to the conference finals.
So basically, bottom line, Jay, what's your prediction on the series between the Hawks and the Sixers?
Bottom line is, I think the Sixers can get past the Atlanta Hawks with what they got. Even if they get 70-80% of Joel Embiid, even if Joel Embiid is playing limited minutes, I think they have enough talent. You look at the way the bench has kind of been playing. I think they have enough talent on the team to get past Atlanta and get to the conference finals. And that's just being honest. I don't think I think it could go 6 or 7 games. I'm not saying that this is going to be an easy series for them, but I do think that they can get past the Atlanta Hawks and get to the conference finals.
And with that, obviously, we have also taking place tonight, Shane, the Mavs and the Clippers. You alluded to this earlier. We have a Game 7, the only Game 7 in the first round, the only series to go 7 games in the first round as far as the NBA goes. This has been just, back and forth series between these two clubs. It's going to be interesting if, you lose both LA teams in the first round, but that's kind of the way things are looking right now. If the Clippers can't pull something out here, I like Dallas actually pull out the win here. What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? You nailed it. I know Dallas is mad that they didn't do it the other night. They had a good opportunity and everything like this. You know what? Dallas on paper right now is looking, no question about it. They're getting production from Luka, who's controlling the whole thing. But I mean, when you think about Kawhi, you think about Paul George, you think about all those guys that should be dominating out there. They haven't really stepped up every quarter. That's the problem. They one quarter they play, next they're behind. Then the third one they start playing great. And this is what I'm saying. There's others out there, the Jacksons, everybody like this, should be picking up that slack. And that's why they've fallen so far behind the way they did and have to scramble to get back to make this series even. Kawhi is going to say the same thing. I don't want to be playing 41 minutes each night out there like that. You know what I mean? You need the other guys to step up and do this too. So I think that you're going to say on the bench, who's going to be that other guy and a couple of guys that are going to take some of that slack off. And that to me is going to be the team that's going to win this. I know Luka's going to try to put it in his own hands and take control. I guarantee you Kawhi and George are both going to try the same like that. But again, too, as I think you're going to see somebody else outside of that helping out in some ways. And if you can get Kawhi off his game a little bit, I think that's what's going to do the whole trick. And I think that's why I'm going to take Dallas in this one as well. I think Dallas is going to take these guys. And I think we're going to not have an LA team this year out there.
And it's going to be kind of surprising, as Jay pointed out, not to have either LA team or Golden State advancing, beyond the first round of the playoffs. It does open things up for these other clubs. It opens things up wide open, especially for the club that I picked to go to the finals, and that's Denver. And Denver looks pretty good right now. We'll just see what happens, in their series as they advanced through the first round. So we'll see what happens with Denver. Any other NBA topics we need to get to before we move on?
Well, Jeff, what I would like to bring up now, we have Shane and we have Alex and Mike here. One of the things I wanted to bring up on the show, and it kind of transitions with the NBA topics. We saw this past week at the end of the series, we saw Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving stomp on the logo of the Boston Celtics at TD Gardens. And then as he was walking off the court, going into the locker room, we saw, and we kind of discussed this at the end of the show. That's why I wanted to get Shane and Alex in here as well. We talked about this at the end of the show last week. We saw a fan throw a water bottle at Kyrie, kind of grazed him a little bit, didn't nail him head on. But
and the fan was thrown out.
Yep, the fan was ejected from TD Gardens and has been banned from TD Gardens. But we're seeing more and more of this. We saw it, in Philadelphia with the popcorn, and we're seeing it more and more as we see fights in
as fans are getting back into the stands.
Yep.
Do I even need to mention the incident?
Oh, Mike, hold on. Let me finish.
I'm sorry, I'm eager.
Stop it. Okay, Mike, let me finish. We see this more and more going forward as fans start getting back into the game. I don't know whether it's, the result of the pandemic and fans just feeling antsy and getting back into the stands. But, we're seeing more and more the fans interact, spitting on the players and so forth. And I wanted to get Shane and Alex's opinion on this. What do you think about the fans, interacting with the players and dumping popcorn on them? I thought, and I discussed this with Jeff and Mike last week, I think the fans should be called, the name should be published, should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, in addition to being banned. I mean, maybe not a felony, but the name should be published so that their place of employment knows what they did. They should be, they can be shamed on social media and so forth. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, so a fan blatantly disrespecting an athlete on the field is one of the worst things you can have. You're there to enjoy the game, right? You're there to see these guys. It's one thing not to like somebody. It's another thing to go out and toss a drink or toss food on them while they're playing. That's just a different level of disrespect, right? Those are like some unwritten rules, some things you should never even have to even tell people. Hey guys, make sure you don't do this. Make sure you don't do that. Just common courtesy, simple respect. If let's say Mike goes ahead and he sees Tom Brady and he throws a beer at him or something.
I don't drink alcohol.
If it's hypothetical, if that happens,
okay,
when that happens, that person should be fined. That person should be banned from the stadium. And that person should get charges. Why? Because you're blatantly disrespecting an athlete. If I walk up to someone, a prominent figure, nonetheless, and I disrespect them in any format, if I spit on them, if I spit on the mayor of my town, I'll probably be handcuffed and prosecuted. I'll probably spend like a couple days in jail or something. I don't know, or a month. I'll get put in handcuffs and get detained for sure. Right? You're going to disrespect a prominent player on national TV while he's working. That's his job. Yeah, get banned from the stadium. You're going to get fined. Make it a serious fine because you're an adult. Everyone knows what they're doing. You know what you're doing. Don't blame it on alcohol. Don't blame it on you know what you're doing. You're old enough to know. You're aware of what your decisions are. Make it a hefty fine. You're old enough to make your own choices. You did that. Now you're going to reap the consequences. And guess what? Now you're going to get detained. Now you're going to get penalized. I'm not saying get 30 years in jail or 2 years in jail, but maybe spend like a week in jail or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how that really works, but you'll get detained, get banned, get fines. Yeah. Catch a charge.
Shane?
Yeah, no, you know what? Build off of that. I mean, like I said, I've been out there on the field. I've seen what it's like. I understand fans are passionate about their players, but then there's also the fans that just want to make a name for themselves and do something stupid. The point being, too, is that you also got to bring in extra security. You got to have everything in check with that as well. And I don't think a lot of them have had that. I think they need to get more involved with it, too. The spitting factor of it being that close that you can spit at the athlete like that, to me, is showing that, listen, we either got to move these people back more or else we got to do something else. You know what I mean? Because uncalled for when it comes to that type of crap. You know what I mean? You can't be doing any of that stuff. There's no question about it. And again, like I said, the fines, the penalties, the allowing it to businesses that they work at, owners, whatever it is. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Go for it. You know what I mean? Set a precedent like this. But again, too, is it comes down to the same thing, is that what are the owners' team, and also what are the people who actually hold up the building itself doing to make sure that the players are safe, as well as the other fans too in the stands too. What are they doing as their job to make it safe? That guess what? Because I got a chance to, with my kid as an example, or kids or whatever else, and not have that guy behind me going crazy right with 1 minute left in the game and we're losing, and start bombing these things. You know what I mean? Again, you're going to start seeing, is it going to get to a point where, guess what? You're going in with alcohol not being served after halftime, something like this. There's a lot of different things, but that's the type of stuff that you got to look at too, especially when we get into playoffs. And yeah, I understand everybody's anxious from this not being able to events, their sports that they wanted to for such a long time. Now they're just rushing in, but you're also going to blow it by doing something stupid, and that's just fair for everybody else too.
Yeah, I agree, Shane. I think you got to work on security. I think you got to make sure that these players are kind of protected from this kind of behavior. But I also think, look, there's always going to be some dumbbells that are going to be in the stands that are going to be looking to, make a name for themselves and say, you know what, I'll run on the field or I'll do some dumb things just to, get myself out there. And, I think security obviously needs, just to protect, the players from this kind of behavior and have more of a barrier between, the, players and the fans, unfortunately, due to these incidents. Something we're going to discuss, obviously, as we go week to week. Hopefully, this behavior doesn't continue.
Well, hopefully, it doesn't escalate to the level of what happened 17 years ago.
Yeah, malice at the palace. Yes,
that day will forever haunt me as a sports fan.
Yeah, but that's where I kind of differ with Jeff, is the fact that they're not, a lot of these TV outlets and the news outlets and everything aren't publishing the nitwits, and I call them nitwits, the idiots' names. They're saying a fan ran out.
They don't want to give them publicity. Yeah,
I'm saying put their names out there. Say that Joe so-and-so ran out of the field, so that, okay, now you have the person's name out there. Now people know, okay, I can go on social media and I can shame this guy. Now their place of employment knows that this guy threw popcorn on the player, or this guy spit on the player,
or
and their coworkers know how much of an idiot the person is. And they can make the decision as to what they want to do. I'm not saying that, they should be fired, but at least if their name is out there, now all of a sudden people know the person, their neighbors know that, and everything. Put their name out there, so that, and then prosecute them. And I'm not saying it's a felony or whatever, but prosecute them to whatever charge you can give them, public, whatever, and fine them.
Maybe it's just an East Coast thing.
$50,000 or whatever, so that they know, hey, if I throw popcorn or I throw a water bottle at Kyrie Irving, you know what? I'm going to be in debt $50,000 or $25,000 or $10,000 or whatever. It doesn't have to be an obsessive fine, maybe $5,000 or whatever, but enough to where, you know what? It makes them think twice about doing this. And that's where I think Jeff and I kind of split apart. I'm saying put their name out there, give them a huge fine, and make them think twice before they do something like that.
It's something we'll discuss as we go forward.
Yeah.
But we do have to move on. We got some other topics we have to get
to.
to.
Breaking NFL news, guys. Falcons trading Julio Jones to the Titans for at least a second-round pick. This is per Rappaport.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
to see the Titans getting Julio Jones, that's an interesting development.
The Titans are going to be an 11-win team with Julio Jones now.
Yeah.
Overpowered.
Oh, jeez.
Moving right along.
Well, hold on. Let's discuss this, because now all of a sudden Julio Jones is off of Atlanta, Jeff, and where does that put Atlanta this coming season, and what does that do for the Titans?
Well, it wasn't going to be that good anyway, when you look at it in that division. So, so Atlanta right now is, kind of a rebuilding club anyway. So, you look at it, and obviously Julio Jones, that definitely makes the Titans a better team, quite obviously. But, we'll have to see, how he fits in with the Titans, to be quite honest. But that does make the Titans more of a contender out there in the AFC.
Not even that. That's their division now.
Yeah.
The Texans are gone. I don't care what happens with Deshaun. Team has crumbled. You got the Jaguars, who have Trevor Lawrence, but it's not guaranteed. You got a new coach and a brand new quarterback. That system's not guaranteed. Your biggest threat's the Colts. And we'll see how Carson Wentz plays. But as far as I'm concerned, no one can stop Derrick Henry already. So, okay, Ryan, if you even try this, if you even become a problem, or not problem, sorry. If you even start to stop Henry, all right, we're just going to throw the ball. Go stop Julio, go stop A.J. Brown. Let's not forget A.J. Brown
Finish your point, Alex. Go ahead.
Let's not forget A.J. Brown's future Julio Jones. The dude's like as tall as DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
You got two. No one can barely cover him. Or he's spectacular. He has a huge upside. And he's so young. Julio and A.J. Brown. Okay. Time to stop this offense now.
That's going to be at least 11-5.
You just made Tannehill. You made Tannehill a very happy guy. And not only does he have the back that he needs, right? But you got two deep threat receivers, and as well as looking at the tight end, they didn't do bad at the tight end position. Now it's like I said, it's about the defense, upping that defense a little bit more. And you're right, Titans are in a mix where they're going to be so competitive. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to play against them, because guess what? You either throw it on a team or you're going to run it down their throats, one or the other.
And that's going to be the deal. And that's what my point was, the fact that you look at that division, I think it's the Titans division. I wasn't really liking the Colts all that much. So I like, obviously, the Titans. I like the Titans before this deal. I think this puts the Titans now into that kind of upper echelon when you look at them now trying to compete with the Kansas Cities and that kind of echelon for the AFC crown. I think that's, that's the general direction, that we're looking at as far as the Titans go. They were already a playoff team. Now, getting Julio Jones, this definitely puts them in a category where they're going to compete now with the Kansas Cities, the Buffaloes, and that kind of thing. So.
Hey guys, sorry, this is off topic, but I have to cut out for today. I have to go pick my mom up.
One question I have for you, Alex, before we leave.
Yes.
Give me your prediction tonight, Mayweather, Logan Paul.
I think Mayweather wins. It's not even a question. It's exhibition. It's spelled out. This guy's going to win. They're not going to allow a guy who's a foot taller, 60 pounds heavier, whatever it is, to come in and try and even really ruin this record. It's just for the money. It's for the entertainment. It's to give publicity and eyes to the sport of boxing. They need another cash cow fighter after Mayweather that they haven't really had it. That's why Chad Ochocinco's on the card. That's why he's fighting. You're seeing a lot of abnormal behavior with boxing cards right now. They're giving a lot of young guys looks and a lot of ways to entertain the fans. That's all it's for. Mayweather wins. The biggest thing is, will Ochocinco win his first fight against Brian Maxwell, a guy who was an MMA fighter, a bare knuckle fighter, and a boxer now. So we'll see how Chad Ochocinco fights. That's the real one, because that might be a better fight to watch.
What do you think, Shane?
But I'll see you guys later.
I'm going with Mayweather. Alex. Take care, Alex. All right, buddy. Yeah, no, I'll take Mayweather on that one, as well as there's another one with Woodley going up against his other there too, which is going to be announced fairly soon against the other brother of Paul there, right? So no, I'll take Mayweather on this one. You know, I mean, I think it's pretty interesting to see what happens on that. You know, when we get back to here at the NFL and stuff, I'm thinking about this one too. Is there's a lot of rumors coming out of Green Bay about the fan base that's been emailing and sending messages about how now they're a split between the Packers and between Aaron Rodgers, the favoring of Aaron Rodgers and then favoring of what Green Bay and should be doing something, etc. And there seems to be enough where the owner and the presidents and stuff are saying, we got some fences here with Aaron, because this isn't good for our fan base here in Green Bay. So there's a lot of things that are happening sort of behind the scenes in this whole Green Bay situation that I think is going to come to light in the next little bit. That's going to actually put a little bit more spin up there. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, you know, I think this Green Bay situation, the plot thickens, you know, so to speak. I think, you know, there's, you know, stirring the pot, so to speak, with the fan base. And, you know, the fact that the fans are split here kind of makes it maybe a little easier for the Packers to part ways with Aaron Rodgers. It's not going to, you know, bother the fan base as much as, you know, the ownership may have thought, you know, with this, you know, with Aaron Rodgers, if that's the direction that's, you know, where they want to go, and the relationship just, you know, can't be repaired. And you know, they feel like, okay, you know, this is what we need to do out in Green Bay is move on from Aaron Rodgers. That kind of pull right there is the fact that the fans are split between, you know, Green Bay and what they would like, and certainly Aaron Rodgers and what, you know, and his vocal attitude as to what he's put out there. It stirs the pot, so to speak, and you know, it stirs the intrigue as to what direction the Packers are going to go in, because they've been tight-lipped as to, you know, what they really want to do as far as Aaron Rodgers goes. So, you know, we'll see.
Yeah, you nailed it, right? The tight lip, the keeping it quiet, the let's just keep this in-house type of thing. But now, like I said, when you start getting out there to the fan base, and now all of a sudden, now this could be another trick of Green Bay in some way, saying, hey, look, we're not so bad if we do get rid of Aaron, as you can see. You know what I mean? We got half of these crowd that still are with us, and you just got your favorites that are with Aaron, no problem. Then they'll still be with Aaron, whatever team he goes to. You know what I mean? So we might be able to do something here and stuff. It's not like it's like 100% Aaron Rodgers. And so, like I said, there's going to be some – I got a feeling this week be more listening to what's happening out there in Green Bay of certain things. And again, I guarantee you the phones have been ringing from teams to say, what do you want for Aaron? You know what I mean? What is it that you're looking for, and what can we do, et cetera, et cetera? Because like I said, I don't think he's off the table. I don't think Aaron is off the table when it comes to possibly being moved this season. And you know what? It might benefit Green Bay to say, you know what? Let's nip this now before we get this whole dang season going here. What's Jay thinking about when it comes to this? Every
team, I think, would like to have Aaron Rodgers. Well, not every team, but, you know, almost every team in the NFL would like to have, you know, MVP from last season. I mean, come out and lead their club. But obviously, a lot of teams right now are set right now at quarterback and have their plans in place and the direction they want to go in from the draft or free agency. And you've seen that carousel kind of play out. So I don't know that, they're obviously, like I said, there are a lot of teams that like to have Aaron Rodgers, whether it's the price tag Green Bay would put up there or whether it would be the fact of the fit of Aaron Rodgers, on the team itself would be a factor, on getting Aaron Rodgers moved out of Green Bay, at this stage. Because, like I said, you're into OTAs right now. Training camp is like a month away. So you're getting to that stage right now where teams, are moving ahead with the playbooks and all of that. And you have quarterbacks, studying playbooks, young quarterbacks that have been drafted, studying the playbooks, doing their thing. So it's something where, yeah, you love to have Aaron Rodgers come in at this point, but what's the fit? And I think that's what general managers have to contend with there, Jay.
Yeah, well, first of all, I disagree with you by saying the market is wide open for Aaron Rodgers. I do not believe that at all.
Only to the point that I think common sense say that, yeah, every team would like to have Aaron Rodgers. That's the thing. I mean, it's like, yeah, of course, you'd like to have, an MVP come and lead your offense. I mean, that's just common sense.
Yeah, but you look at where teams are at. If you've invested a high draft pick in a quarterback,
which is what I said,
or you're paying a quarterback a huge sum of money, then no, you don't have any interest in Aaron Rodgers. You're not interested in him. Well, the Colts, the Colts, no interest in Aaron Rodgers.
But I'm just saying. Let me be honest. Would you rather have Aaron Rodgers or would you rather have the Colts quarterback?
Well, you don't have.
Would you rather have the Colts quarterback? Who would you rather have?
It's not who would you rather have. It's where you're at. So the market for Aaron Rodgers is limited. It's the Colts are paying Carson Wentz, so they have no interest in him. Who would you
let me put it this way: who would you rather have on the Eagles? Would you rather have Jalen Hurts or would you rather have Aaron Rodgers?
Where the Eagles are at, I'd rather have Jalen Hurts. No, where the Eagles are at, I would, because they're not right now. You can't say that they're content. They're one of the favorites for the Super Bowl. You can't. They want to get younger. They don't want necessarily a veteran quarterback on their roster that's eating up a huge chunk of their salary cap. They're looking to do as well as they possibly can this year, and they're looking to make a huge splash next offseason and for the following seasons after that. They're looking to get younger. And how many more wins, what would Aaron Rodgers' salary do to their cap? Would he enjoy playing in Philadelphia? So you got to look at where teams are at. Now,
I'll tell you this much, Jay. If I'm the 49ers, I don't know how Shane feels about his Raiders, but, if I had a chance to acquire Aaron Rodgers, I would do it in a heartbeat right now if I'm either one of those clubs. I would be knocking on his door right now and saying, "Come on, Aaron Rodgers, come and play for my team."
Hey, if Gruden wants to give Derek Carr away and bring in Aaron Rodgers, I'm good with that. No problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'll keep the rest of my guys.
If they want to trade Garoppolo, if you want to trade the young quarterback the 49ers drafted and bring in Aaron Rodgers right now, the 49ers, I'm good with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, yep. I would be too.
Deal anytime.
I would be too, but you're looking at the state of the two teams. The 49ers, you can legitimately say, are a Super Bowl contender in the NFC. They are. Right now.
No, we are not. I would say not right now. I would say the 49ers are not a Super Bowl contender with the quarterbacks they have on their roster. They're a playoff team. They're a playoff team, possibly, but not a Super Bowl contender. I am not, no. Not with the quarterbacks they have on their roster right now.
Jimmy G made the Super Bowl.
What?
Jimmy G made the Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but he's hurt. He's perennially hurt. Give me Aaron Rodgers. Give me right now. If you're telling me, Garoppolo or Aaron Rodgers, let me think about that for a second. Yeah, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, absolutely, I would too. But I'm saying you put Aaron Rodgers. But I'm
going to say this. I just want to say one quick thing there, Jay.
Different places. You can't say the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender.
Go ahead, Shane.
If Aaron Rodgers was playing in that Super Bowl against the Chiefs, that game, I would have given it to the 49ers if Rodgers was playing, because Rodgers would have kept in better control compared to what Garoppolo got rattled too much. That's a big difference. I think Aaron Rodgers was playing for the 49ers at that game. There's no question about it. They would have continued and then would have won that because they were already leading as it was, okay? But Aaron Rodgers would have kept that lead too, because that's the experience of him. Garoppolo caved, and that's what I'm saying is, and I go with Jeff too. Yes, you got potential to be in a Super Bowl, there's no question about it, but you don't have that QB who's got enough confidence in himself to get the job done when needed and maintain that score like a Tom Brady, like an Aaron Rodgers, like a Russell Wilson, guys like that.
And to Shane's point, Shanahan knows that, and that's why he drafted a quarterback third in the draft, because he knows that he's not going to win a Super Bowl with Garoppolo.
That could be, and
it's a fact. You don't go in and move up and trade away all the pieces he did to move up to number 3 to draft a young quarterback if you think you have that quarterback to take you to the crown. So it's obvious right now, and it's already played out, that Shanahan does not have any confidence in Garoppolo winning a Super Bowl at this point for him. That's just a fact. Yes. Because if he did, the 49ers would not have taken a quarterback third in the draft. So they basically said to Garoppolo, thank you, but no thank you. We don't think you can win. I don't want you as my quarterback. You're not winning the Super Bowl for me. Go out and we're going to get rid of you. We're moving on to the next guy. That's basically what the 49ers did.
And this would be the ideal time if they did get rid of Garoppolo for a guy like Rodgers, who could lead the team and have the backup there, Nance, who just came in to be Lance there to be the backup and learn from this guy this way. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then eventually probably take over the reins. Because like I said, that would be a deal in every scenario, in every situation, I think. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to get it from Garoppolo. But if you got rid of Garoppolo.
And I think, Shane, to your point also, you look at your Raiders and you look at your quarterback. The Raiders are not getting out of that division over Kansas City. But if you put Aaron Rodgers there, you have a heck of a chance right there of upsetting the Kansas City Chiefs.
I totally agree with that one too. And look at Derek Carr, to me, has improved. There's no question about it. I would say has improved, but I don't think he has it in him to get to that team to that next level as well. Felt quarterback experience, and without a guy like Rodgers who can do a lot of things and see things a little bit better, I would love that. I honestly would. But like I said, and to me, Gruden, I could see Gruden making a move like that easily. I could easily see Gruden saying, we'll give you Carr out there to Green Bay, no problem. We'll throw in some other thing. We'll give you a couple of draft picks and extra, right? But like I said, to me, that is what's missing in some ways, is that clinch guy right at the end to get you that win. And that, to me, is what Aaron Rodgers can bring to a team that has a lot of talent already, that is almost there at making it to the big game in certain ways. And that's what I'm saying is I would have no issues with him going to my Vegas Raiders. And I know there's a lot of talk of actually Rodgers going to Denver, who has 10 million quarterbacks already on the roster who don't even play. I mean, and you got a ton of cash that you can free up and stuff like that. But it also comes down to, will they win? You know what I mean? Like, I don't see Aaron Rodgers actually sitting back and going, well, I'm not going to a team that I got to keep trying to rebuild them and stuff like that. I want to win as well. I want to be like Tom. I want to be like all these other guys that get a ring pretty quick again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And so
I don't think this is the same as, Peyton Manning when he went to Denver and Denver just, clicked okay and they went all the way. I think this would be a different scenario with Rodgers going to Denver if that's what ends up happening, because you've got a team already there in the West that is set, that's, loaded and ready to go in Kansas City. So you have to think to yourself, gee, can Aaron Rodgers put me over the top there over Kansas City? And I think that would be even with, Aaron Rodgers in Denver. I think that's a tough thing. I think that's a tough mountain to climb if you're the Denver Broncos. I just don't see the talent, there with Denver with Aaron Rodgers to get him over the hump there over the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, I think it would be
totally
good.
Agree on that one.
I think if Aaron Rodgers goes to Denver, I think it would be a good matchup. But you look at where the AFC is currently. You got Julio Jones now, going to the Titans. You have Wentz going to the Colts. You have the teams, the Steelers, who are perennial playoff contenders. You have the Ravens. The Bengals are improving with their young quarterback. So you have, and then you have Belichick reloading a little bit this season, getting some players back and so forth in that division. You have the Buffalo Bills, who are a staunch team in the AFC as well. So you have some tough teams in there. I think for Aaron Rodgers to go over to the AFC, it's a tougher road for him to get to the conference championship game, if not the Super Bowl, because the AFC is really stacked with some good teams in there. I think it's a lot easier, a little easier road for Aaron Rodgers in the NFC. Not to say that there aren't good teams in the NFC, but you look at how the AFC is stacked now with some really good teams and some good players on there. It's a tougher road to kind of get through, even for the stacked Kansas City Chiefs.
But I just don't see. I don't see. Green Bay wanting him in the NFC. I don't think that they want to trade him to a team in the NFC. I think they would like to trade him out of conference if they possibly could.
Yeah, but
I just don't see the fact that they want to. If they wanted to move him, to another team. That's why. Look, I mean, there was, a potential trade between them and the 49ers, and the 49ers nixed that before the draft. But, look, I mean, I just don't see a real fit in the NFC. I just don't see a real fit in the NFC.
No.
I don't see the Packers wanting to trade Aaron Rodgers in conference. I think they'd rather trade him to the AFC if they possibly could.
Well, there is one fit in the NFC that you're kind of overlooking, Jeff, that needs a kind of franchise starting QB. And that would be the Washington football team. Because they're going to be going this season with Ryan Fitzmagic as their starting quarterback. And you put Aaron Rodgers on the Redskins, and they're going to be a pretty doggone. They would be a pretty doggone good football team.
Yeah, but you're giving Snyder more credit because that would require Snyder to actually make a smart decision.
Well, no. It's
True.
the head.
True.
It's more the head coach's team than it is. The head coach is making a lot of decisions now. He has a lot of power.
But this would come down from ownership if that kind of decision were to be made. Snyder would be involved.
Well, you have to go to ownership, but Dan Snyder's kind of taking, he's kind of letting the head coach kind of make his mark on the team. So that Washington football team, if you put Aaron Rodgers on it, I would say they would be leaders in the division. And
can you get a name for your team first before you consider Aaron Rodgers? Can you possibly name your team first? Can we, you're the Washington football. Can you find a name first? How long have we been sitting here without a name? So can Daniel Snyder find a name first before we actually start thinking about Aaron Rodgers on Washington? Find a name for your darn club.
Hey, they're going to be a good. Don't count them out. They're going to be a good football team this season, I think. But I think you're right. They have a very good defense. I mean, like I said, I'm not sure about.
It's the NFC East, so it's the NFC East. So we'll see what happens.
I wouldn't necessarily go with Fitzpatrick as my starting quarterback. He wouldn't be my first choice. But outside of the quarterback position, they got a pretty good football team there.
Hey, look at they got some talent. There's no question about that. It comes down to, you're right. I mean, who's gonna lead them out there on that field, offensively and as well as defensively, keep them up to that. Look at defense. They had defense last season. You saw a lot of talent on the front line, a lot of pressure, everything like that. But again, too, though, is on the offensive side, they lacked with their offensive line, who got to the quarterback a little too much. There was pressure put on there. So there's still a lot of holes that got to be filled in some ways. I like the coaching. Don't get me wrong about that. Riviera, I mean, good job, everything there. But like I said, when it comes to QB, I just, again, in the NFC, I don't think there's any way that if Rodgers was being up for trading, that they would go to Washington or anybody in the NFC. I just see him flipping over to the AFC. Just to listen. We don't want to see you until we have to in a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And that's it, type of deal, right?
Yeah,
but
I agree
anything
with
possible. But
yeah, I agree with you, Shane. I think Green Bay, if they're going to trade Aaron, I mean, you're going to look at what offers you're getting for Aaron Rodgers. But I do think you're right. The preference is to move him out of conference. And I would actually call, if I was the GM, Gutekunst or whatever, however you say his name. I would hold on to Aaron Rodgers until I absolutely had to. I would call I know he's, putting out, different vibes. I mean, first, it was like, okay, I don't want to play in Green Bay. Then the wide receivers kind of held out of the OTAs or whatever, in support of Aaron Rodgers and so forth. And then he put out messages that, maybe things can be resolved and so forth. Still hasn't shown up yet. But if I was the Packers GM, I would hold on to Aaron Rodgers. I would call his bluff a little bit, because now all of a sudden the tables are going to turn a little bit. And they can, when Aaron Rodgers holds out and doesn't report, now all of a sudden they can start finding him and getting some of that contractual money back. Now it's going to hurt Aaron Rodgers in the pocketbook a little bit. And, it also comes down to how much confidence they have in Jordan Love. They've seen Jordan Love in practice. The players have seen Jordan Love in practice. He sat on the sidelines all last year and tried to learn the offense. So where is Jordan Love when it comes to the offense, knowing it, executing it, and so forth?
I'm going to stop you right there for a second, Jay. I want to stop you right there, because NFL Live has said Green Bay is prepared to move forward with Jordan Love if Aaron is going to sit out for that year. Okay, so they're prepared to do this. So they're putting their stock in it and going, oh, Gordon, this is going to be yours. Start thinking like that. It's going to be successful. I'm going to say probably not the way they want it to be and everything like this. And just to set that example of, well, Aaron, if you want to not play for us, well, this is what we're going to do. Yeah, you're going to be fined $50,000, $100,000, all this other stuff like that. But guess what? As soon as you go to a new team, you're going to get it all back with bonuses anyways. So really, in some ways, does it really hurt Aaron? Not necessarily. You already got a ton of cash before you go into this. You already know what you're going to do. Yeah. And for him now to sit back, and I hate to say it, but this is also Aaron Rodgers' personality too. This is him person also being that egotistic, narcissist type of guy. We're saying it's my way or the highway. And that's kind of how he's leading this. And that's what I'm saying is I just got a feeling they're going to move Aaron at some point here because it's just time. And I think he's seen success of other QBs on the move to other teams too. And I think he feels it's his time as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they do. If they're not able to work out a new contract with him, I do think they'll eventually move on from him and, live or die with Jordan Love. I do agree with you there, Shane. I think, you look at Denver as a possible landing spot for him. And I do think, but I also do think, too, that the Packers front office are going to call its bluff a little bit. And I think kind of hold on to him and try and get as much as they possibly can from whatever team they trade him to. And it could happen at the trade deadline as well. They may hold on to him and they may trade him mid-season, and say, we're going to hold on to him until we get a really desperate team, see how the season is playing out, and maybe move him at the towards the trade deadline in mid-season.
Yeah. Well, anything can happen in the first week of fall too. QBs can go down fast.
So we'll have to see how this situation plays out, but it does bear watching as we go through the rest of this offseason and we get towards training camp and certainly beyond that. We got to have some quick hits here before we leave and talk about the NHL playoffs while we have Shane around because there's a lot going on right now in the NHL. We're marching towards the conference finals as we speak. Shane, got to talk about those Winnipeg Jets right now because they're not faring well against Montreal. Let's put it to you that way.
No. They went on. They've had too much of a break right now. You know what I mean? They had 9 days off to relax and everything like that. I think they went to Disneyland for Pete's sakes because they came back not looking too good. Last game, I give them a lot more credit. You only let one in, and that was a good, like I said, it was a good goal, everything like this. But I expect now they're playing back in Montreal for 2 games that they'll split it. And it all stems down to, again, lots of controversy going on with the Scheifele hit and everything like this. You know what I mean? It was incredible, the suspension that you get. I personally would have gave him 2 games, not 4 myself. Okay, but again, too, it would have done one thing was just try to play the puck before he hit Evans, right? That would have been the icebreaker, but he didn't play the puck. He looked up. That's why they gave him the 4 games. That's how it gets. You know what I mean? But that's how it is with it when it comes to charging like that. So, but like I said, we got some good games being played. Colorado, Vancouver. I mean, that's some excitement out there. They're going crazy. The fans.
It's Vegas, not Vancouver.
Yep. Vegas, and they also got out there with Boston. I mean, they're playing tough. I mean, there's no question. And then you got Tampa, who's still hanging. Tampa's got some attitude. Tampa's playing with a lot of attitude.
I didn't predict. I thought Carolina would come out a lot more fierce. Brendan Moore, obviously coaching that team. I thought Carolina would come out a lot more fierce in that series, but give it to the champs. I mean, the champs played well in the series in Tampa, so give it to them. I think tonight's game, obviously, when you look at Vegas and Colorado, that series is very interesting with Vegas trying to, exert some influence in that series as well over Colorado. I like Colorado coming into this series. I think Colorado will still probably win, but it's going that series just has become a very interesting series as well as you have Colorado up 2-1 in that series and playing tonight. So we'll see if Colorado can get that commanding 3-1 lead or whether Vegas tonight can knot up that series at 2-2.
Vegas is going to have 16,000 in the Fortress tonight.
Yeah, I don't.
And the Fortress is a very
I just don't like Vegas right now matching up against those Colorado Avalanche. So I think we're headed, to Montreal and Colorado, which should be a very interesting conference final out west. And then we'll just have to see how the East plays out. Tampa obviously looks pretty good, obviously, to make the conference final. And then you're looking at a flip of the coin right there between, Boston and the Islanders. Yep.
Winnipeg basically has to sweep Montreal. sweep at Montreal to get Scheifele back for Game 6?
You just got to win one more.
Right, they split.
You got to win one right now.
Yeah, I think they split right now. I mean, it's 2-0 Montreal going into tonight's action. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see if the Winnipeg can obviously get a win. I think they split. The next two games. So we'll see what happens.
3-1 Montreal heading for 5.
Yeah.
Again, Winnipeg down 3 starters as well. So I mean, like I said, we'll got a feeling. I'm picking Winnipeg to split in Montreal.
Yeah,
and I am picking Colorado. I think Colorado's going to take the Knights, no question there. And I like Boston over the Islanders, and I like Tampa myself.
Okay,
yeah, so I think that's where we're headed as far as the conference finals go.
Okay,
we'll see how that plays out. Also, another big item that came out this week. Obviously, is the news in college basketball that the legend is finally retired. Yes.
Let's get Mike's picks for the NHL.
Okay, let me give you my picks. I'm going to take Vegas to even up the series at 2. I think the home crowd factor is going to push Vegas forward, heading for Game 5 back in Colorado. Game 5, Boston, New York. That's going to be a flip of the coin. I can't really say on that just yet. Winnipeg and Montreal, I'm going to say Winnipeg. I got to say Winnipeg on this one. And for Tampa, Carolina, Tampa finishes off the Carolina Hurricanes.
Sounds good. Okay, moving on to another big story that came out this week, obviously in college basketball, is the retirement of the legend, the best coach ever to take the court. Mike Krzyzewski is obviously retiring after this season with Duke. So I know some people rejoice over that because some people just loved booing him because of how good he made that in recruiting and so forth, and how competitive he continued to make that program year over year, especially in the ACC. It's just, he's just done an amazing job, winning as coach of all time. It's, I know, my coach Jim Boeheim is right behind him as far as wins go. But, he has just done a tremendous job, with that Duke program. And he will be a tremendous loss, obviously, for college basketball. And we interesting to see where Duke goes going forward with their program, because a lot of people, a lot of players, went to Duke because they wanted to be, obviously coached by Mike Krzyzewski. So we'll see how that recruiting works. Without Mike Krzyzewski at the helm there, as far as the Duke Blue Devils go. I personally will not miss Mike Krzyzewski, being a Syracuse Orange fan. So, thank you. But at the same time, I acknowledge Mike Krzyzewski for the greatness and all that he's accomplished throughout his career and all that he's brought to the sport of college basketball there, Shane.
Most definitely. Like I said, he a legend, deserves every accolade that there is. The players loved him, everything that goes with it. He said a lot of things. He set a bar so high that coaches, in that level wanted to reach. And like I said, he brought a program there that was just amazing and phenomenal, and all the best to him as he moves on. I'm not sure what he has plans and stuff like this, but again, like I said, I think he'd be a talent as a consultant, even to look at getting other recruits to those schools too and things. So, like I said, all the best to him and his family and everybody like that. But he was an amazing man, no question there.
And to build off of what Jeff said, recruits wanted to play for Duke because they wanted to be coached by Coach K. That says a lot about the man himself, Coach Mike Krzyzewski. And if I had played basketball in high school, I would have wanted to go to Duke just because of the legend that Mike Krzyzewski is. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. No question about it.
Already in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay. If he wasn't already, he would have been first ballot Hall of Famer.
Already in the Naismith Hall of Fame. So
if he wasn't already, he would have been first ballot.
Yep. So
again, that says a lot about the man.
Absolutely, and he is very humble, and he just goes out there and tries to play ball. Of course, he's had issues over the years. We know that health wise and so forth. Back injuries, and so forth that really bothered him. So we hope it's not really his health that's really declining at this point. That he can enjoy his retirement and just enjoy life.
No, it's probably not his health. It's probably not his health, and he's already got his successor in line. He's chosen one of his most trusted assistants to succeed him at Duke come 2022-23. So I think Duke will be in good hands.
But it's not the same when you're not when you don't have Coach K, out there, selling the program. So
yeah, but I think Duke will be in good hands.
But look, I don't have any ill will. Actually, I do have some ill will towards Duke, Orange. But at the same time, look. God bless Mike Krzyzewski and all that he's done. I acknowledge his greatness. I just hope Duke fans do the same when Jim Boeheim actually calls it a quits in a couple years as well. So with Syracuse. Moving on to baseball, because we haven't talked a lot of baseball during this show. We could talk about the Madrid injuries that are going on in baseball, because that seems to be the big theme going around baseball. It's just the amount of injuries and the volume of injuries that are going on in baseball. It's absolutely ridiculous as to the amount of injuries that are going on. It's crazy right now in baseball as to how many players right now are on the injured list around baseball. Obviously, the Mets are feeling that, Mike, as they progress, but they're comfortably in first place right now in this lackluster, if you want to call it, National League East.
The NL East this season is like the NFC East the past few years. I am shocked that the Mets are first place with all the injuries they've been dealing with. But how they've powered through is astonishing. They're getting guys back slowly but steadily. McNeil is on the way back. Conforto's on the way back. They just got Alonso and Lugo back. And once the Mets get back to full strength, they are going to be the problem team of the NL East.
And Jay, Phillies, they split the first two games with Washington on the weekend. They have a third game here, but they couldn't bet Scherzer on Friday night. But last night they got a win. They do have Harper back in the lineup for what it's worth. But it's been a real slog for the Phillies here. And, it just doesn't, in this division, it just doesn't, these teams are just, there's just not a whole lot of good, to look at, whether you're talking Washington, whether you're talking the Phillies, whether you're talking even the Mets, although the Mets are currently the first place team in the division, or Atlanta. There's just not a whole lot of good right now that you can look at from a division standpoint.
Well, I do think the Mets, like Mike brought up, I do think the Mets have some separation between themselves and the other teams in the division, but they haven't got enough separation to say that they're clearly heads and tails better than the other teams. They still got to work on that a little bit, but as Mike alluded to, you look at the other teams, and they all have warts in the division. The Mets are going to continue to get healthier, and as they do so, they're going to get players back. And you look at, like you alluded to, you look at the Phillies, and they got to start making hay. And you look at the way that they play defense. You look at wasting a good Wheeler start again by not winning. When you have Eflin, Wheeler, Noah on the mound, you got to win those games. Bottom line, you got to come up with wins. You look at the fact that they had their promising young pitcher on the mound, and he only threw 40 some odd pitches and a couple innings, and then got taken out. And people are confused as to, you want him to be a starting pitcher, and his velocity dipped again. We've seen that as he goes through games. We see his velocity dip. So, you want to stretch him out, but you also, if you're Joe Girardi and the Phillies, you also want to win games because this is a winnable division. The wild card is there for the taking as well. And if you're a wild card team. So, the playoffs are there for the taking if you're a team in the NL East. But, you got to take advantage of it. And the Phillies have not shown right now that they're ready, willing, and able to take advantage of it. It's been a slot. And the other thing, to bring up too is the Phillies opened Citizens Bank Park up to full capacity. And only about a little over 15,000 fans showed up. Now, you could say maybe the fans didn't know about it. Maybe people are still hesitant about going to games because
no, I think the team stinks.
Yeah.
That's part of the that's part of the problem is the fact that you have a team that just stinks. The roster just doesn't work. I mean, that's just the problem that the Phillies have, and their defense is just horrendous. They're one of these organizations in the National League that is pining for the DH to can't come fast enough to the National League for the Phillies.
Yeah,
because they need the DH because they need to hide a couple of players, in that spot. Because some of the guys they got out there are just are not capable of playing credible deep defense, and that's a problem. For the Phillies because you can't allow some of these mistakes to happen and allow a team all these extra outs. That's just not a good and effective way to play. On the other hand, you look around the National League and there's nobody really lighting the fire right now in terms of getting out and being that good. You can look at that three-headed monster out west with LA and San Diego and San Francisco. You may have a couple of good teams in the Central with the Cubs and the Cardinals. But, nobody right now is getting out to, a great record as we really enter June. The Dodgers are kind of stumbling along at this point, which was everybody's favorite coming into the season. Yeah. So, a lot of teams are just, stumbling along with a lot of injuries that have happened. It's not COVID that has been the big issue with baseball this year. It's been all the players that have gone on to the injured list.
And not only that, Jeff, but there's been a lack of offense, a lack of action in Major League Baseball this season. Batters are striking out a ton, and that's one of the things people look for is when they tune into a sporting event, whether it be football, baseball, basketball, hockey. We want to see movement. We want to see action. We want to be entertained, and with strikeouts and we see the no-hitters and everything, that's fun and that's nice, that's nice.
No hitters in history.
Mike, and it makes history and all that, but when you see players going up, when you see Phillies going up there and striking out 12, 15 times a game, that's not putting the ball in play. That's not making fielders make a play. That's not a lot of action, And then you see, stupidity on the base pass. We saw the Phillies, Rhys Hoskins gets a leadoff double, and the Phillies are trailing. I believe it was 2-1 at the time, and you're like, okay, Rhys Hoskins leads off with the double, and then Girardi subsequently takes him out of the ball game, puts in a outfielder that they just called up, and he gets not only picked off second base, but tagged out by the catcher. I mean, it's it's unbelievable that he made that base running.
The problem with baseball is that it's become unwatchable. I mean, You watch, a couple of innings, and it's the same stuff. It's either a pop out, a strikeout, or a home run. That's what it is anymore. That's what baseball's come down to. So it's become basically an unwatchable sport. They've got to do something here to kind of, get the offense back into the game, as you point out. So it's something that they need to work on.
Exactly.
Anything else we need to touch on before we end the show?
I'm good, Jeff. What about you, Mike?
Same here, but to build off of what you said, stupidity on the base paths, also some stupidity by the umpires has contributed to this.
That too.
I agree. Umpiring in this sport has become atrocious, in some respects. But credit to Joe West for umpiring all those games, becoming the umpire to umpire the most games in Major League Baseball history. So congratulations to Joe West on that accomplishment. With that, I think we'll end the show and enjoy all the NBA action today, everybody. Enjoy the NHL playoffs. Enjoy the fight tonight between Mayweather and Logan Paul. We want to thank Shane McGowan. We want to thank Michael Nibia. We want to thank my brother Jay Soner. We obviously also want to thank all of you for joining us on Alex Secchia for joining us as well. I want to thank all of you for joining us this week on the Sports Go Radio Show. And we'll talk to you next week right here on the Sports Go Radio Show. Have a great week, everybody.
And remember to give us a like, a follow, and share on the Heat Ratio social media sites and the Sports Skillet social media sites as well. Like, follow, and share. Get word out there about the Sports Skillet show and the Heat Ratio. And like Jeff said, thoughts and prayers go out to our dad as he continues his recovery.
With the bases loaded and one out. Oh, it got deep to right field. Way up there and way out of here. Second walk-off home run. Grand slam race over. It's an exciting game. Fourth and goal.
Here's Iverson. Through the defender. Stays right where Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline.